Kwe Kwe Greetings. This is just a quick video. Uh, I jumped on a panel today and I kind of jumped in and jumped out. And I felt maybe in some kind of way, I owed the panel or anyone who was watching just a little more insight on the question of the Constitution and the American Indian. Um, this knowledge, for me, it feels as if I've been given this knowledge. Uh, I'm not some kind of expert on law, but as information is presented to me, I do have some information processing skill. I work in a library, so my skill set requires basic research, and a basic comprehension of what we're looking for and what to look for. What's the message that's needed? In this information, is it like a reliable source? Is it the citation? Sometimes they want items, our patrons, they want items, but they don't just want the article. It has to be the article from the publication. So, there's a lot of sifting through information. So I'm in the field of the legal field. It's a law firm library. So I'm not a lawyer and I do not practice law. But when I get it, and then you just have to speak to the people in a way that they get it, because you don't have to know law to get it. And so why I want to quickly this is basic. This is nothing high intelligence, high IQ, no, not necessary. We want to go with the basic premise of a contract or even a treaty. So we're going to look at the Constitution as a contract. What we know about contracts is that you can't go outside of the terms of the contract. And if you are named in the contract by a certain designation, whether you like it or not, that is what we were at the time of the signing of that contract, which we are calling the Constitution. Some people will argue, it's not a contract. Well, you know what? For all intents and purposes, it is. We are, after all, in commercial law, right? So they were able to, shall we say, switch up the terms of the contract right before our eyes. What I mean is they breached the contract. If the Constitution was a contract between Indians, free persons, and members of Congress, and all these other officials, including judges and governors and so forth and so on, right? So what the Constitution is it tells everybody their place. If the Constitution didn't mention a Moor specifically, guess what? A Moor is not party to that Constitution. We've been living, I want to say, roughly in the parameters of the Constitution. So that is the go-to document around the world. That is what makes America, as right now, as a government, this is what holds it together. This is the building block of this nation. So people who think that they are going to just name themselves whatever they want, they're going to be in breach of contract as well. Now, it's one thing when the government is in breach of contract, because we can hold them accountable. How do we do that? We go back to the contract. We don't go outside of the contract. It's a very simple concept. It's nothing Again, doesn't require a high IQ. It just requires common sense and basic. We do contracts all the time, whether they're you know the spoken contract or the I forgot the name, but there's written contracts, and then there's a verbal sort of contract, like when you get on a bus. The contract you enter there is you're going to act like you have some sense. You're not going to attack other riders. So that's a non-verbal contract we make when we get on a bus or on a train, or so once you're outside of those basic rules of or tenets of that contract, the government can come for you any way they like, because you're not party, you're not mentioned. Just like Negroes, coloreds, blacks, and African Americans are not in the Constitution, neither is a Moor. Now, you can be a Moor if you want to. Personally, I choose not to, and I think I explained why. I have to go with Indian, unfortunately. For those who don't like it, and those who want to go with Aboriginal, that's another one. It's not mentioned in the Constitution. So if we're not learning the lessons of what happens when you go outside of the Constitution, if we haven't learned what it means to be called Black in America, and we still want to make up some fundamental Black whatever, is it in the Constitution? Huh? Okay, so you are an enemy. Get your guns out, because what you're doing is basically declaring war on the United States corporation. Okay, they don't have to honor you because you're not in the contract. Indians and free persons are in the contract. They have a voice. They can shut down the government legally and lawfully. That's the only way you're going to do it. But if you're talking all about how you are more and you from Mu, and the Constitution don't know nothing about that. And if you're going to change the Constitution and go against it, you better have an army bigger and better than the one in the United States, okay? Go on with your bad self. I ain't trying to dead myself before I even stand up, okay? I'm going to stand up on Indian, okay? Everything I know up to this point, unless someone knows better, is telling me that you might not like the term Indian. You might not feel it's the right fit for you and all that. Guess what? Our forefathers were party to that Constitution. I'm talking about Indians. So they did not go with every tribe name. That would be way too much to write down. They went with Indians. The reason why we get no respect and no honor, no love from the corporation is because they don't have to. They're not contracted to Blacks, coloreds, Negroes, mulattoes. They don't have an agreement with you, nor do they have an agreement with Moors. Are you getting the picture here, people? We're going to argue. Are we going to waste time arguing about what we call ourselves because now we've done found ourselves? Yeah. Well, unless you're ready to fight the U.S. Army, okay, by yourself or with the 5 other brothers or the 20, whatever, how many numbers you are, I hope you have the ammunition that you need. I don't think you're going to win. I'll put you that way. They will come at you with everything they have. They're already in breach. Okay? It would give them no more pleasure for you to be in breach as well, because they have the manpower to shut your ass down. It's really so simple. It is really incredibly simple. I'm not trying to come off as arrogant. I'm not trying to come off as a know-it-all. I'm not trying to come up at the big dogs in this game. I see how big you are. I don't want no smoke. I'm just trying to avoid some brothers that could probably really be useful to the Indians movement, shall we say. I'm trying to help them not get dead, okay? Okay? Really, really. We got a lot of fire, we got a lot of energy. Use it wisely. That's all I'm saying. This is not coming up against anybody. This is trying to show people how you're going to deal with the government that your ancestors set up. Now, whether they was for us or against us, we have this document that all the world knows us by. They don't know no other kind of America at this point. When we take our sovereignty, after we tell this government who we are and why we are sovereign, that's all they're going to hear. If you're a sovereign citizen, you're out of the game. With quickness. If you are an Indian or a free person and you step to the government, there is nothing they can do but honor the contract. I don't know any way to be. Again, I'm not a know-it-all. If somebody thinks they know better, feel free to speak your piece in a respectful manner. But I think that's all I have to say. I don't, not showing anything. I kind of did a video on the Constitution, and maybe that was whatever, whatever. But it can never be, it can't be overstated. The genius of our Constitution and what makes it a respectable document is it is what legally and lawfully got us out of the clutches of a very thirsty monarchy. It was honored, but what they did was they knew that years later, if they're not teaching us our own legal system, they had a plan. Once they reclassified us, we were like wild game. It's just a matter of time before they're going to be trying to genocide us physically after you do it on paper. Okay? You don't do it on paper unless you intend to do it for real, because you'll have the legality you need. Once we agreed to be called Black, Negro, colored, we became prison fodder and target practice. When we're not protected, that's what you can do. Notice it's only people, the Indians, who are being shown on TV having their rights trampled over. Why? Because at this point, the government can safely assume that we are not Indian because we don't say we are. Only Indians are sovereign in that Constitution, and for persons that fought for their freedom to become free persons. That's the foreigner. And the state national, that is the foreigner dealing with the fraud of those who took us outside of our Constitution with civil rights. So even the foreigner has a fight or has a case, a legal case with the government that they also got reclassified as United States citizens. We all did. So what I learned from the foreigner, because they're doing a great job with the state nationals. If you know, I talk about Anna Reitzinger often, or enough. She's leading. She's a real she's a real lioness for the foreigner. I had to learn There is no shame in learning. I was going to go with being an American state national because our Indians are not really we don't, let's just say we're not as developed as what this woman was doing with American state nationals. She has a whole system. But when I learned that I'm in the Constitution as an Indian, that is the preferable designation, because that makes me that's what's making this is my land. I don't want to go in as a foreigner, even though being an American state national or a state national will give me sovereignty. I want it on the backs of my ancestors. I don't want it on the backs of the foreigners, even though what they're doing is great. It's great for the foreigner. This is why we had the Revolutionary War, so they can not be under a monarchy. I guess our forefathers realized, the ones who were not in bed with the foreigner, that we might as well fight for these people, because if we allow them to be taken over by a monarchy, who's to say what happens to us? So our ancestors were smart enough to know that when they come for the foreigner and you don't do anything, what's going to happen when they come for you? If we have any common sense left, we should know that none of us are ready for even a guerrilla warfare with the United States corporation. They didn't come this far just to stand by and let your nigger ass just take your country back. You're going to do it civil. Well, I don't like that word. You're going to do it constitutionally. You're going to show the government their fraud, and now all of a sudden, you are back in your position of authority. And you're telling the corporation who the real boss is, as an Indian, not as a Moor. Not as a Moor. Why? Because a Moor is not party to the Constitution. There is no word, do a word search. There is no word Moor, Moorish Science Temple. It's not in the Constitution. White is not even in the Constitution. Black is not in the Constitution, obviously. that one we know, right? We know that already. Indian is. And if we think we can just ignore that, well, you got a war on your hands. Get your army ready. This will be interesting. Because here's the thing, though. It's a foolish move. Because what the corporation is going to do is then look at all of us the very same way. That's why they lumped us together. So what their objective is, all we need is one of you knuckleheads to say that y'all are Moors, so we could drop a bomb on all y'all. And how about that? And they'd be justified to do it. Why? Because you are outside of the contract. Anyone who's not getting this, it's because they don't want to, and they're a fucking agent. An agent, okay? An agent meant to get us in a position where we even look like we're trying to come up against this corporation's army, so that they will be justified in blowing your ass out of this universe. They did it before. They did it before. We had a video done by Chief Sister Bethy, where she showed you what happens when you go into court calling yourself a Moor. You're not recognized. on the same panel, Chief Bethy was explaining that we have the proof that we are the Indians. If you go into court to prove you are a Moor, your ass is fitting to be sent to Morocco or to be locked up as some kind of, I don't know, enemy of the state if you're doing something really crazy. You know, taking somebody's house under the notion that you're a Moor. So not only you are you outside of your outside of the contract, but you're a criminal. You're a foreign criminal. I'm just this is just basic. It's there's even there's no need to even, it's not even no need to get complicated. If you're named in the contract, how do I do this? If you had a contract with your cable network or your cable company, which stated that you are supposed to have all premium channels all the time. Actually, no, I should do another example. If you have a contract with your cable company and you're supposed to have all premium channels for 1 month, I should say, that's a better example. You can't go in there arguing that you want cable for the rest of the year because it's not part of the contract. If you get belligerent about it and you insist that I want HBO unlimited and you get jiggy with it, you could end up fined or in jail. Or your maybe even lose your cable, or who knows? You know, anything that they can get. We know how they do us, right? When you're outside of your when you're a Negro or Black or colored. So who knows how jiggy they'll get with us? They already after us, right? We're the target in all of this. Why? Because you are the true landlord. So you don't go after the tenant, the other foreigners. They're of no consequence. You have to go at the potential landlord who doesn't know he's a landlord. You want to get rid of that one. You want to really fuck with that one, the utmost. Okay, so that's what we're in right now. And it shouldn't have taken us this long to realize that, but it did. And still some of us don't realize it. That's why I'm making this video. So the basic idea, if your contract says ... and you go to argue that it says ... you're going to lose. You don't have any grounds. If your constitution said that Indians and free persons are sovereign, and you go in there talking about you're a Moor, you're going to lose. Because they're going to, first of all, you can't even call on the Constitution. It would be stupid because you're going to say, I have a constitutional right to be a Moor. And they're going to review the terms of the contract, and they're going to say, well, you said you're what now? A Moor? Oh, okay. Then the judge might give you the glasses. You know, I don't have no glasses on me right now. But you might have to do. Please review these, but tell me if you see more. Okay. You know, he's gonna give it to the whoever the bail, whatever they call that guy that helps the judge. And they're gonna say, where are your rights in that constitution? Show it to us. We having a little trouble finding that. If you go in as an Indian, all as far as the corporation goes, all they know about you and all their business with you, so it revolves around the fact that you're not supposed to be taxed. And the reason why you're not supposed to be taxed is because you're a sovereign. According to the way our Constitution is written, to be sovereign, you have to stand before your judges. I am an Indian. I am a sovereign. I owe you no taxes. And you owe me my land. And whatever funds are held up in a trust, that needs to be routed right back to me. After that, we start our own government. The good news is, as long as we're not harming anyone, there's nothing the government can do. They can't stop us. We can take our time developing our government because that's none of their business. But one thing they do know, they don't have any jurisdiction to hinder us or harm us in our process of setting up our government. Now, once we do that, it'll be an example for the other Indians who still think that they can be Moors in this country and get some respect. Even if you were to get respect, you're getting respect as a foreign national. Okay, that's the only thing. I'm not an expert, but once they've established that you're from Morocco and that there is a treaty in place, okay, you're a foreign national, and you're not American. Morocco is just a county in America, and it's not the one that the treaty was made with. So it's looking like Morocco was formed as a corporation before they had any land, which is very possible. That's how corporations roll. You can be a corporation and not have a building. So likewise, it seems to reason you could be a Moroccan corporation and not have any land because you're a corporation. You might have a mailbox or a P.O. box. So it's okay that Morocco wasn't a land mass. They were a fucking corporation doing business with this corporation. I mean, we should know what corporations are by now. They don't have to be land-based. In fact, they are sea jurisdiction anyway. A corporation doesn't have to have land because they're already under the law of commerce. So they could be on a ship and be Morocco. Maybe there was a boat. Maybe there was a ship called Morocco. Maybe that's where the confusion is. Who was this nation that made this treaty of peace? Maybe they were right outside in our harbor on a fucking ship, the Morocco. We gotta think. That's all. It's not about making people look stupid, but I tell you this, it is frustrating hearing people argue this point when the consequences are so dire. You can't just approach this government any old kind of way. You're going to do it the way it's intended to be done per the contract. If you don't, the government has every right to take you out. They do it every day. with our brothers on the fucking street, okay? I'm gonna close now. I didn't plan this to be the next video, but I just, fresh hearing a debate on what we should call ourselves. People think they can ignore the Constitution. I will pray for you, because all this corporation needs is for you to step stupid. That's all it needs. It's waiting. Come on, nigga, please. Try me, nigga. Try me. Ooh. Please. Oh, it's like they get an orgasm from that shit. Another nigga in jail. Ha. Another fool that done got in what do you call it? Contempt of court and shit. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so again, I could preach forever, and I'm not doing that to you tonight. I'm tired. I'm finished work. Thank you. I can actually relax, and here I am trying to go on all night, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I want to say a special thank you to new subscribers. This is probably not what you were looking for. Again, this was like an emergency public service announcement. As an Indian, I reserve my right to my sovereign right to free speech. There's no jurisdiction that the corporation has over me as an Indian per the Constitution. So again, I reserve my my rights as the first people on this American soil who were dealing with a corporation that basically infiltrated our system through the money and got us paying tribute to some monarchy, all under fraud. Okay. Okay. We got to begin speaking truth to power. As Indians, we have that right, and even free persons have that right. A note to white people: you might want to give up that as well, because as a white, you just have the highest. Let's say again, the best analogy I have is you're a house Negro compared to the Indians that have been designated as the field Negro. So you get a little more love, but you're not sovereign. No one is, unless you part of the state nationals that through the thanks to the hard work of someone like Anna Reitsinger. The woman is a wealth of knowledge. And so she's there. And again, she's teaching the foreigner how to get back to what the Constitution made them, which was free persons. We are the Indians. If you look like me, you are an Indian. If you're not from Africa and you've been here since the 1800s, you are an Indian. If it says you're Black on your birth certificate and all of that, Negro colored, whatever, any of your documentation, it's fair to say you've been reclassified and you were Indian. You were reclassified into being African. Okay. So again, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. But yes, that the Constitution, the way to approach this in a constitutionally legal way is to go back to the contract. Anything else, you are in danger of being snuffed out by the corporation, which has every right to see you as an enemy of the state because you're not party to the Constitution. That is my message. Again, I know what I was saying. I want to say thank you for those who were able to see my last video about America being Tameri, aka Egypt. That is the video that I now see the ancestors intended to be the main message. And I'm very happy with that. You know, that is the main message. That is the ultimate message. And this is what the ancestors are showing me with the response to that video. And I am in much appreciation to those who got it, you know, and those whose comments in that, you know, under that video were very helpful to me. Dr. Tracy, she is a very you know, in-depth researcher, and she deals with etymology, and she was able to break down the Oyo. She looked deeper into that, and she mentioned me on her video, and it made me look at what she had to say. If I can comment on that, I don't know if I should comment on that, actually. I should save it, I think. But I think what I can say is the Oyo were apparently, from her research, the Oyo were connected with the Moors, which leads to a conversation on Amaru. And roughly, what I can say about Amaru is Tameri is the definitive name of America, because it would be the oldest name of America. Amaru, if it's being brought by the Moors, which I think was kind of the subtext of Dr. Tracy's video, which was very informative, then we can be certain that it is secondary to Tameri. So a lot of people like to say that America is named after Amaru. America predates Amaru. I'm always going to go there with the predating. I'm not even going to try to feel some kind of way about that, because it's very important. America is the old world. America is ancient. So Amaru didn't exist when America was named. Amaru would have had to come around the 2900s, according to the timeline, because that is when Oyo would have followed. There were no Oyo when America was founded. So there's no way in hell that they could name America Amaru. America had a name long before there was any Oyo nation or any African nation. So that's the initial response. And it, not to be funny, because again, there's some excellent researchers out there, really. All I have to say to that is what my mother taught me. You can be really book smart and have not a lick of common sense. And that, you know, so that is why I know that Amaru could not be the first name of America. Common sense tells me if one thing came in 3400 and the other thing, it could only even be conceived after 2900. The oil were like in the AD time frame. They were not BC people. So if they had, now I want to be clear too, Dr. Tracy did not say anything about America being named after Amaru. However, Amaru was depicted in the video, and I took note of that. It was a fire-breathing dragon. What we will look at, I hope, and again, it's not going to be anything that's, oh, this big, profound. It's just basic. It's real basic. First of all, Tameri, they didn't have, the only dragon deity that I know that Tameri had was called Apep. So if Amaru is Apep, that is a malevolent deity. That is the deity, in fact, that Ra uses Set to fight against. So if Set is malevolent and he's fighting Apep, the only dragon I know of in the most ancient series of deities, then Apep is a real MFer, because Set is the malevolent god, and he's helping Ra fight the dragon. So that again, the dragon has to be the ultimate. And so what that would mean is that the Indians were once again deceived. They were brought a deity called Amaru. And again, we want to be careful with the name game. Am I going to do this video now? Let me see. Okay, I'm not using screen share today because I'm doing, apparently I'm doing a video. This is the Lost Book of Enki. So we're just common sensing it. Okay. This is the book. This is the man, the authority on ancient Sumeria is Zechariah Sitchin. Okay. People say he was like Masonic. And I don't know that for sure. I didn't look at that, but I can tell you this. If he is the authority and no one else, it would seem that he's high up in some kind of secret society. Why are you the only voice for Sumeria? The only voice for cuneiform, basically. One man. There's no cross-referencing. It's just him. So here is where we are told a basic story that introduces Amaru. In this book, Amaru is said to be Thoth. So Amaru, according to ancient Sumeria legend, is actually our Tehuti, Tamarian's Tehuti. Tehuti is the ibis bird. I'm not doing, right now, I'm not doing any screen shares and stuff like that, because I don't have any setup, I don't think, for this particular subject. But needless to say, Amaru originates here, and we can read, they never say his name, which is suspect, which is very suspect. But we're going to read how they describe Amaru. We're just going to look up Ningazita, okay? I believe Ningazita will say, okay, we're here. You could first read it for yourself if you like. It's the highlighted. Pause, please. I think that says it, I think. If not, I'll read the other passage. But we're looking at Ningazita. That's Toph, according to Sumerian legend. That's Toph or Tehuti. It doesn't say here, so I'll have to go to the other reference. It says, Ningazita, son of Enki, master of genetics and other sciences. So he kind of sounds, my thought when I read this was he sounds like Yakub a little bit, because Yakub was known as the big head scientist. Tehuti is the only scientist, according to Sumeria. Well, actually his father, him and his father were scientists, Enki. In this story, Enki is his father. And in this story, he's the brother of Ra. In Tameri, Ra didn't have a brother. He was like the Most High. Now I believe he had a father, Ta, which makes me kind of think that Ta Mary, it could be referring to his father, Ta Mary. Is that beloved father, maybe? Ta Mary. If we use Ta like and spell it like PTAH, that would be Ta. Ta Mary, it could be, because they're burying the deities in, word mix matches. Okay, so Ningazita, the son of Enki and master of genetics and other sciences, called Tehuti, right there. That is a Tamarian deity. I hope you saw that, Tehuti. So right there we have, if you're going with this legend, and there is no other that's considered older than this, except for ancient Tamari, this is the next oldest thing. So if you're going for a reference to Amaru, this is the oldest you're going to get. If anything is mentioning Amaru, the first thing, and we're going with Sumeria being the next oldest, next to Tamari, which is the oldest, this is your source for Amaru. So let's read about Amaru. They're not going to say his name. Again, that's the word trickery, but you have to understand who they're talking about. Okay. For 350 years did the brothers, that would be Marduk or Ra, and Ningazita, who we just found out is Tehuti. Okay, so for 350 years, Ra and Tehuti, or Ra and Ningazita, I'm sorry, the brothers in the land of the two narrows quarreled. For 350 years, see, they were fighting over the land. For 300, or dominion or domination over the land, okay? For 350 years was the land in chaos. Between the brothers, it was split. Okay? Then Enki, their father, to Ningazita said, for the sake of peace, to other lands depart. So the father of this story, which is Tehuti's father, according to this story, is asking Ningazita, Tehuti, to leave, and they're making Africa. This is how you know that this is bullshit, because they're going with this happening in Africa, but as we learned in the last video, Africa's too young to be, dealing, having the authority with this story. Okay, so this is a secondary story to the gods of ancient Tameri, Ra, Isis, Osiris. That's their Greek names. I said we shouldn't use their Greek names. But Osar, Oset, Heru, Ra, those are more ancient than these dudes. That's why they're referring to them. See, already, for them to be referring to them, you know that this happening to the real deal. They shouldn't be referring to them, really. They shouldn't. If they really want to be of their own, making, and of their own separate first category or whatever, they should just not be using Sumerian deities as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so then Enki, their father, to Ningazida said, for the sake of peace to other lands depart. To go to a land beyond the oceans, Ningazida chose with a band of his followers. Thereto he went. 650 Earth years was at that time the count. But in the new domain, now this character we just read about, Ningazida, is told to go to out of the land, across the oceans. In the new domain, where Ningazida, the winged serpent, was called. Now, they didn't say Amaru, but everyone knows by now Amaru is a winged serpent, right? So this is the oldest text that's talking about a winged serpent in a new domain. And you know they call America the New World in their lie, right? So in the new domain, where Ningazida, the winged serpent, was called, a new count of its own began. So I'm going to put it up so you could read it. And you'll understand that this is, you see winged serpent? That's Amaru, y'all. So that's why they keep saying, associating America with Amaru. It's coming from Sumeria. This has to be the first mention of any Amaru, so we know it's suspect, I should say. If it's coming out of Sumeria, my new golden rule is start out not believing it and work from there. Because let me tell you, you're going to stay there. First of all, this book is taking the assumption that America is a new world. So we know already it's lying, okay? We know that they should know better, right? They're trying to find something old enough to call America young. Unfortunately, this is not it. The Anunnaki do not predate Tahuti. The Anunnaki do not predate Ra. The Anunnaki do not predate Osar, Oset, or Heru. They come. What did we do the math? Let's break out the calculator. You know, just to be sure. You know, I'm not great with math. So, okay, so we're gonna go 3,400 like we always do. 3,400 minus, when Sumeria began, it was 2,900. Okay, so Amaru is 500 years. Uh-oh, is it too bright to see? I got it. Okay, let me lower. It's already as low as it can go, but let's see. So 3,400 minus 2,900. 2,900 is when Sumeria is even thought about. That's when you get the kingdom of Uruk. Was it Uruk? Babylon and all of that. That's when they start, 2,900, okay? Amaru has to start there because this is what the book of Enki is saying. All of this is coming after 2,900. So is America named after Amaru? We just did the math. The answer is, thank you for copying that, but we just want to see the numbers. The answer is no. No, America is not named after Amaru because Sumeria didn't begin till 2,900, where America began 3,400. Okay, that's the quick debunk of Amaru. I don't even know if I need to go any further. We just read, check it out if you want to buy the book. It just told you where Amaru came from, right? That's talking about, but they're not naming him. So I already disrespect the book because you're renaming our deities. And we know that in the renaming come new characteristics often, a new storyline, a whole new storyline in this case. But please read that. That's Ningazita, y'all. He's calling him Tahuti. So they're renaming Tahuti Ningazita. That's Amaru, y'all. But the funny thing is, Amaru, if we go with this, he's still an Egyptian deity. So the funny thing is, they're not denying Amaru as being Egyptian. So what am I saying? It has nothing to do with Moors, even if it was Amaru. Because they're connecting this to Egypt, not Morocco. There was no Morocco back here. So there was no Moors, okay? I don't even know if we need to go any deeper than that. I could show you the proof. I don't think I want to do it right now. But the land that they're fighting for is the story we read, we picked up at the part where Ningazita or Amaru is fighting for land in Africa. And it would have been what they're calling Egypt in Africa. Their father, Enki, wants there to be peace in that Egypt, is what the story is saying. So for the sake of peace, he's asking Tahuti to leave Egypt, where Marduk is ruling. But we know that that's the second Egypt. But when they tell that story, they're going to make it like it's the first Egypt. That's just what they do, okay? That's how you do a hijack. So they're fighting for Egypt before Ningazita is kicked out, before Ningazita is asked by Enki to leave Egypt of Africa. It's still, it would have been Egypt that they were fighting for. So what am I saying? I'm saying even if we go with Amaru, Amaru's origin is not Moroccan and it's not Moorish. There's no talk about Moors in this book, although this is the handiwork of the Moors. How do we know that? It's anything that's trying to predate America is basically, it's someone who's under the doctrine of the Moors or the Moors themselves. I'll say it that way. So this is the book that first talks about Amaru. If we go with this narrative, what is this narrative saying? That Samaria was first. Okay, so whatever. We know it wasn't, but that means they're trying to say this is the oldest source you can find about anything talking about Amaru. Amaru was, according to this story, put out of Egypt in Africa because he and his brother Marduk were fighting over it. Marduk felt that he owned the Egypt in Africa, according to this story. Once they're trying to say that America is younger. In other words, once Ningazita was cast out of Africa, the Egypt in Africa, he came to America and started America after the Egypt in Africa. We know that's a lie, okay? So this is why we can safely discredit all of this as garbage. Garbage. Propaganda meant to hijack American history, American Indian history. This is garbage. Okay? They learned how to write, and if they did, they learned how to lie. Their writing was for the purpose of lying or being misguided by the Moors. Either way, if you're that indoctrinated, you might as well be the Moors because you've taken on their indoctrination. So I don't think we're going to read anything else from here. I want to see if they say anything about move. Doesn't look like they do. Lemuria. All that stuff is neither here nor there. If it's underwater, it has nothing to do with us today. Okay. And we really don't have proof enough. Even if we did have proof, so what? So what? How do you prove that you escaped Lemuria? Even if it did exist. I swam to the shore. I found a log in the explosion and I'm Lemurian. Anything to get America out of first place. That is the name of the game. That's the whole entire show. The whole entire game we're playing on Earth is let's make the old guy stupid and young. So we could run around and say that we first. And let's take the first people and say that they're from Africa. So nobody was on America. So that means anybody who, even the people that find it, don't get to own it. Now, here's the joke I wanted to say. I'm done with this book. The joke is, even when they find that their quote unquote African American bones were in America, guess what? We still don't get credit for being the first Americans. How's that for a joke? So you're telling me that Lucia was from Africa, but even she doesn't get you first billing. Then what's the point of anthropology? Huh? If you're going to find bones in America, you find them in America. What part of science makes you say now that it's African? What part of anthropology does that? Why can't Lucia be right from here? Is it not possible that America had first people shared similarities with African phenotype? In other words, could it be that she was just from America and the first people in America were Negro and Africa takes after us? Why is that so revolutionary? Why is that so unfounded? They're so willing to make it the other way around, right? Oh, it all makes sense when we say it's from Africa, but how about if it was from America first? How about if Lucia was here first, and then some of us ended up in Africa? That's what actually happened, but okay. But no one wants to, look at it that way. But again, why when anthropology, do you think they would, how about this? If they found quote unquote Caucasian bones in America, do you think they would say that they were from Europe? No, they wouldn't, would they? How likely is that? They would be so happy to say that Caucasians were the first Americans if anthropology found Caucasian bones in America. When they find our bones from Africa. So anthropology is a hijacked science at best. If your anthropologists are all going to come up with the same thesis statement that every bone you find in America came from Africa, but you didn't find it in Africa. What's wrong with your science? Are you adding a narrative to it that maybe you shouldn't? On that note, I really think, I tend to go on and on, and I think I'm going to stop here. I've done, prematurely shot my new video. Now I done told you what it's about. Maybe I'll go a little more in it, but really, it's not rocket science. Amaru is a product of the Lost Book of Enki, and he's a product of the Anunnaki, and we know the Anunnaki came after the Tamarian deities, once again, Heru, Osar, Isis, whose her real name is Aset, Ra. When we go most ancient with it, we're just going to call him Ra. We're not even going to call him Amen. We're not going to do that because he's Ra. That was his original name. That conglomerate names are also suspect. So if you have Amen Ra, that's two different deities. Okay, it's two different deities or some kind of added mixture. It's not just Ra. It becomes Ra is a falcon-headed deity. Amen is a man. It's a man, a figure with a man's body and a man's head, a man's face. It's two different deities. Two different deities. Ra is strictly a falcon-headed deity. He looks a lot like Heru, and that might tell you how important Heru is. Now, when I say Heru, I'm not talking about myself. I do stand under his name because that is the deity, again, that fights for his birthright. That is what he has in common with the American Indian right now. Also, for me, the deity that is most fitting, the deity that I most need to receive energy from is Heru, because he's the winner. In this current fight, I hate to say it, but Jesus is not going to help you to get your birthright, because that's not his job. His job is for sinners. And if you don't no longer identify as a sinner, you don't need him. And I do not any longer identify as a sinner. That was just the precursor. You need the prerequisite to be a Christian. I am no longer a Christian, so I don't need the sin narrative. My good friend in Israel, we talk about this all the time. Mike, hi, Michael. We talk about the Christ within. And really, that is what was supposed to be the premier Christ. What is Christ within? Christ within is an example of that is me right now. Me right now awakening to where I'm from, where my lineage is from, my landmass, my connection to the land. That Christ in me led me to that with the help of the ancestors. So, you know, I would think that the ancestors made it possible for the Christ in me to receive this message of my indigenousness to the Americas. So that's an example of what a Christ is here for. You don't need to be saved from hell because you're not going to hell if you're not a Christian. Now, if you believe that and you manifest that, that's what you get. Heru, the first Christ, the very first Christ was Heru. That's why the Trinity has Father, Mother, Child. The Christian church changed it to Father, Son, Holy Spirit, but you notice they were modeling it after what? The first Trinity. What did the first Trinity say about sin? It didn't say anything about that. That Trinity was solely for the purpose of telling you about how that Christ, Heru, how that Christ acted. What did he do? That Christ, when you tap into that energy, it leads you back to your birthright, because he was a deity of birthright. Heru is a deity of birthright, and he was denied his birthright. That's the first story of a birthright being denied the birthright holder. Then we get Jacob and Esau centuries later, but it's a basic retelling of the Heru story. The only thing is, it's the The illegal heir or the unlawful heir is fighting for a legacy that it's not his. In our Sumerian story, which I know it to be our story because that's where Egypt was in America. So where did this story come from? It came from America. The story about Heru came from America. Peru is named after America. What I can do, I think, and maybe we'll end there. I wanted to show you the glyph for, do I have it up? I should have had it. Let me see now. Oh boy. I don't think I have the darn glyph. Maybe the glyph for Heru. If I don't find it, I'll have to link it. I'm going to look for it. I'm going to look for it. Let me see if I can look for it. Where is it? Glyph. Huh, okay. Don't have it. Okay, it's not coming up. I need to take the time and find this. I'm going to pause, and when I come back, I think I'll have it. Let me pause. Okay, I took a bit of a break, but I did find what I was looking for. Thank you for waiting. In the middle, excuse me, in the middle, I had a phone call, so, but I wanted to revisit. I talked about the house of Heru. In Peru, there's an ancient city, and we saw the picture of it on the last video. And Peru is actually itself named after a Tamarian deity, Heru. So in the last video, we talked about, okay, let me see if I can pull it up and share the screen. Let me see, can I do, I keep, it's this thing where when I'm looking at my slides, then the Zoom camera is hidden. So maybe I should just, let's see. Okay, I know where to find it. Okay, so let me see. Okay, here, is that it? Had it open. Okay, so is it open? It's open. Okay, so I think I can go back to this. Oh, come on. I keep losing my camera, where my camera is. Let me see. This is crazy. I have to get to the page where I can see the Zoom desktop with, okay. I've lost it again. I found it and then I lost it. Okay, so how do I do this? I go down. Okay, there I am. Okay. I'm gonna have to, okay. How do I do this? If I share my screen, my goal here is I want to show you the actual glyph. I told you what the glyph means in the last video, but I didn't show you the glyph, which was a mistake. So let's see if I can share my screen. Okay, let me see. Come on, share screen. Oh man. Okay, so there's my screen, but that's not what I want to share. This is what I want to share. Okay. What we're looking at is the actual hieroglyph for Heru. I spoke on it before. I guess we could make it big, but this is it. And remember, we saw what looked like a little room. It did have an opening. However, the actual glyph, it seems like they did not put the little opening. But this right here, the whole picture is the house of Heru. Peru, this is what the glyph that it's referring to. Heru. So I just wanted to show you the actual real life glyph. Like I told you what this glyph meant, but I didn't show you the glyph itself. This is our clue to let us know that ancient Tameri was right here in the Americas. Now it's spread up to Mexico, but in other words, it's America. No matter how you slice it, it did not begin in Africa. And by the time it gets to Africa, it's not an African culture that's over there. That's an American culture in Africa. And then you get Punt. But then after that, I believe it was Nubia, but they called Nubia Kush. And so in a future video, I would like to begin to, I'll put you this way. I'm of the mind that you take a current culture or a more modern culture like Somalia, or what's the other one? Actually, that is it, Somalia. And you predate Somalia and say that it was Put or Punt. But there's really no documentation that verified that there ever was a Punt. The only mention we have of Punt is in the writings of the Egypt in Africa. I believe it was the 18th dynasty. Hatshepsut, she is the pharaoh that speaks, apparently, if I remember correctly, extensively of her excursions to Punt. But they don't know where Punt was. They're speculating and presuming it to be in Somalia, because Somalia has a city named Punt. So they're saying it's either in Eritrea, I think they call it, or Somalia. So what I'm saying is the Egyptians were very good record keepers. Why would they not tell us exactly where Punt is? What I'm going to speculate, and again, hopefully in a later video, we'll just look a little deeper. What I'm going to speculate is it's a fictitious wonderland. Once the 18th dynasty got kicked out, and that would have included Hatshepsut, the Queen Hatshepsut. She was part of the 18th dynasty. Once they get kicked out, they now have to, they don't want to talk about the expelling. So they're going to reroute themselves in South Africa, and they're going to claim that they originated in South Africa. You see, they have a motive to do that. The motive is we don't want to talk about being expelled, because then we're going to have to explain why we were expelled. I'm telling you, they were expelled because they were changing the religious system. And the Jacobites were leading in that campaign. These would have been the Mohammedans, or the Mohammedists. They were leading in that campaign. I think they had so much resistance from the people that they then I believe they began to, that's how Judaism came about, because the people were, the Mohammedists had gone too far in totally doing away with basically all the deities that we knew. Whereas Christianity kept some of our deities, though they were renamed. Judaism has a reference to the Christ figure, or it alludes to there being a Christ figure. So actually, Hebrew Israelitism or Judaism, they're still somewhat connected to the most ancient mysteries. However, Mohammedism went full on renegade. They began worshiping a man called Muhammad first. That's why it was called Mohammedism. So ultimately, after Akhenaten began to try to narrow down the family of deities to one, it led to Mohammedism. Christianity was I'm going to have to pause again. I'm going to pause. Apologies. This is like phone night. One of those calls you just have to take, family issues, and we move on. Okay, so I was sharing my screen before. I think I'm almost done. I think. So let's try this again. Okay. There is the glyph that was supposed to be a clue to Americans and particularly American Indians, to show us what our legacy was. Now, when we talk about Tameri, please understand, it's not that we have to practice this today. I mean, if we are of that mind, it would be wonderful, because this is the legacy that everyone is fighting for. This is the one that is the root of the Abraham story. So this is a very important legacy that we should not throw away, because if we do, we lose our first birthright position. This is why we want to keep this legacy. In my last video, I tried to show you that it is the first legacy on Earth. Now, you will have people giving you a legacy in outer space. You will have people trying to push you, especially into that sea, which would be Atlantis. You don't want nothing to do with Atlantis, because Atlantis doesn't have sovereignty. Atlantis is under the sea, and therefore, even calling her up now at this point, you're calling on a sea jurisdiction that has no constitution. And you really want to stick to your land and soil constitution, not the air municipal constitution, not the territorial crown corporation constitution. So it's not that when we speak Tameri that we're supposed to all now fall on our knees before Isis or Aset. No, it's acknowledging that it's your legacy and no one can take it from you in order to supplant you. You want to keep your legacy so you don't get supplanted by the babies that know the value of your birthright. They know what position your birthright puts them in, indigenous. But if you're talking about you're from Mu, or your legacy is under the sea in Atlantis, you do yourself a serious disservice.
That's where everybody wants you to be. That's why the corporation got us in admiralty law, maritime law. They want you in the sea so you don't have any rights on the land. So all this talk about Atlantis, it's really time to let it go. Let it go. If you're a mermaid, maybe that birthright will do you some good. But last time I checked, most of us have legs, not tails, fishtails, telling tales about fishtails. So when someone is trying to put you in space on Nibiru, or even from some star constellation, please know that they're taking you out of your sovereign position, and they're going to grab it. Once they put you in space, once they get you swimming in the ocean, guess what's up for grabs? Your land. So if you want to be an Atlantean, knock yourself out, but you will remain a slave on the land. You'll be a king of the sea, chicken of the sea, or whatever, but you will be a slave to the one who took your legacy. Who's the custodian of your legacy right now? The self-admitted custodian are the Moors. That's who told us that they're the custodians. Okay? This is not an attack. I'm speaking what I was told or what I heard Moors say. They're the custodians of the legacy. Then why are you trying to put me in the ocean or in Morocco? If you have my legacy, stop lying to me about where it began. That's how we know it's a wicked custodian. He's not supposed to put you off your land. He's supposed to tell you about your history right here. And again, you don't have to subscribe to the Egyptian gods. You just have to own them. If someone else gets it or someone else erases it even, they get to take your place. And you will be no better than a black, Negro, colored, African American, Atlantean American, Niburian American. Everybody's trying to take you off of your land, indigenous. So that's why you got to tell them that the most ancient legacy on earth is yours. Claim it. If you don't, you lose everything. That's why they don't want us to be American in the first place, because they know the history of America. We're the only people that can't be on our land. Everybody else is allowed to be. Africa, you have your, again, your Ghanaians, your Nigerians, your Kenyans, Gambians, Moroccans, Liberians. We're the only people on earth, we're not allowed to be American. Why do you think that is? That glyph right there is one of the clues that our ancestors left us. When your grandmother leaves you a house, you don't have to love your grandmother. You don't. But if she leaves you something that is more valuable than anything you could possibly have anywhere else on earth, because anywhere else you go is not going to be yours. And so you won't have first place position. What has been going on for all these years of the Negro struggle is a fight and a push to get us off of our land so that they can do away with the Constitution and do away with constitutional rights of sovereignty on your land. If you go somewhere else, you will not have sovereignty. Your land gives you that because it's your land. So if you want to keep harping about Moorish and Morocco, you're going to have to go there eventually, really, because you won't find sovereignty here. I mean, the corporation will invent for you a status, but everyone that they create is the one, that's the ones that's not sovereign. That's where you're getting benefits and privileges that can be taken away. But you have a God-given right to your birthright. Okay, so again, we're just going to look at per, and we did our little highlight before. I took them off, or I shouldn't have. Per is the hieroglyph for house, a floor plan, a wall building. Now, again, I didn't see an open doorway, but that is the glyph that denotes per, as we saw. Per, excuse me, we're just reviewing. Per combined with an associated personal name, God, or location becomes house of, okay? This is what Horace Butler in his book, When Rocks Cry Out, was telling us. He figured this out, and he found where this was located. So then we went down just to get, you know, instances or examples of what, you know, glyphs. Now, they're not showing us the actual glyphs, but they're just giving us what that box around the deity with a little inner box, that is per. It means per. And whatever deity, now say for instance, we put the deity Bas in that box, it would be house of Bas. Per, that box means per. Okay, so yeah, we did the house of silver. They all mean like a keeping place. So even though some of them are not literally saying house, like this one is a temple, great temple. Okay, so it's a temple is a form of a house. A tomb is a form of a house. So Perjet is a tomb house, you know, a house of an Egyptian tomb, or, you know. But the idea is that per is a housing type of glyph. Just interesting. Okay, so it's I guess, you know, they use it differently, but it is, like we read, it's a way of saying a house or temple. It's a hieroglyph for house. So once again, I want to, here it is. Now again, we didn't show it last time, which I wish I did, because, you know, the visual, that's why they made this visual. It's very important, you know, to see. Okay, per Heru. I think this is the little area here is the per, and it actually can sort of even look a little bit like a P. Maybe that's where you see how you can get a P out of this. So it kind of, you know, gives us the P, you know, per, and again, this is the symbol for Heru. I think that's all I'm gonna do tonight. It was really like I just felt that I had to talk a little bit about the panel that I was on today. It was Ab Powers channel, and he was gracious, you know, enough to, you know, let me speak. And you know, I couldn't stay on, and I felt like I jumped off so quick that should maybe revisit it, because I really want to say what I had to say, and I didn't want to argue with the guys. You know, they're very, you know, a lot of us Indians are very strong-willed, and you know, it's just that we got to know when to walk away, because it's very. I find that, you know, I'm realizing what an Indian is, and all my brothers on that panel, we all have this. That's what we have in common. I think is there's a lot of passion, and sure enough, when I got on the panel, you know, I was getting all like I got. You know, it's just, I just say the ancestors are here, y'all, and they're trying. I think they're just trying to get the message to us. You know, we can't afford to uh be stuck on stupid for too long in this time. We're losing a lot of people to. I don't know if people have seen lately what's going on with is it Thailand and Pfizer, you know, without getting too much into it. It's not looking good, y'all. They done, one of their princesses took ill from the you know what, the yabba dabba, the yabba dabba jabba, and it's not looking good for Pfizer. You know, they got this video going around, brother, all like he done lost his mind. He works for Pfizer, and he got caught out there telling the secrets. A complete idiot. And he just goes stark raving mad after he tells the person he's on a date with, he was set up, and they recorded what he said about what's going on with this pharmaceutical company. And so we're in a time where, if we're here, it's for a reason. We're being taken out, y'all. I don't know any other way to say it. I wish I could pretty it up. People are dropping like flies. It's not being reported. And then the illnesses that are popping up, no one is connecting the dots of, oh, so we just had this mass pandemic, and then we had a mass yabba jabba dabba do, and people like dropping like flies or have some kind of health issue, but no one is saying, I wonder if it could be at least a side effect from what just happened. No one is making that connection. No one. And you see, again, I'm an Indian, referenced in the Constitution. I have a sovereign right to speak. It's a constitutional status. Indian. Yeah. Yeah. There's no, the corporation has no jurisdiction over me. And even if I have not become part of a nation as yet, or I'm still mentioned in that Constitution as an Indian, you don't have any jurisdiction to come for me. I have a God-given birthright over any corporation that's on my landmass. That's what every Indian has a right to say and be. Me being called Black was an act of paper genocide, which has serious consequences. Again, it's press ganging is one. Inland piracy. It's funny that these words all associated with the sea, you know? So I didn't expect to do the video tonight, and this is what I did. I hope someone got something out of it. The thing is, I realized my last video was probably the video. Not, I don't even know if I'll get that kind of attention again, but it's all good. If that's what the message that the ancestors wanted to get out more, I'm all with it. I'm fine with it. And once again, I just want to thank everyone who supported me in that. It means a lot. There was a commenter that I wanted to give him credit for. He assisted me in the information he provided when he showed us. Well, he mentioned that the period between BC and AD or AC, before Common Era or before Christian Era, and after Christian Era for ACE or Anno Domini, there was actually a number of years in there. And this brother informed me that it was like about 100 years between BC and AC. Now, I still have to verify that, but for some reason, when the brother said it in my comments, I kind of wanted to give him name recognition, but I don't have the video up. Well, I could pull it up. That's going to make this video even longer. Just to get, I would like to sort of shout that out there. It was that's the kind of feedback that it really contributed to understanding that BC AC period. Like, there's a whole period in there that I think it might be the length of the life of of Jesus that they're giving us as 33 years. I'm wondering if maybe AC and between BC and AC, maybe it was 33 years, because that's how long he lived, because AC is after Christ. So we could be after he died, So, but the brother said it was about 100 years. I'm wondering if it might be the lifespan of who they're, the character that they're saying to be the Christ. Because it would make the after Christ make sense. Let me see something here. I always make the video longer than I expect by running my mouth. I want to find the comment. I should do a share screen, but it's a little quicker to find the comment. I want to name the brother, because I told him, I was asking him if it would be okay to mention his name. I forgot to put my headphones on. Is this thing recording without? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh man, I usually have to. Sorry, I didn't have my headphones on. I don't know if you were able to hear me, everything I said. Okay. Uh,
Okay, I'm sorry. I hope you were able to hear me. I didn't have my headphones plugged in. And the the laptop that I'm using has very low volume. So excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. Of course now I can't find the if I can't find it, I'll have to mention it in the description box. Um, let me see. Was it the same? Let me see something. I found it. Okay. I just want to shout out Rodney James only because the BCAC information, I found that to be, very helpful because we look at the BCAC timeline, but that point where they meet, there's actually a gap there according to, I'll read what he said. Uh, uh, Once again, thank you, Rodney James. 100 years of our Lord that goes between BC and AD ages. They don't just jump. That might be where the missing Greek info disappeared during that era. That gave me a lot of food for thought. And so thank you, Rodney James. Brother, I still gotta look that up, but my spirit told me you dropped some knowledge, okay? But yeah, I had a lot of good comments that were um very much appreciated. Uh so thank you. Thank you so much. There's a few comments here. Um yeah, yeah. And so just thank you all. You really. Um I'll see if I even put this video up. I should because I was really moved to it, and it took something to get me to do a video because I kind of been putting it off. So this was the spark that did it, thanks to Ab Power's channel. Uh, and I'm not gonna rush to do the next video. I kind of shot my shot, here on the topic that I was gonna touch on. But I just want to, really get it out since I was doing a video now that I needed, that I was moved to do on the spot. So I tried to take it as an opportunity to talk about what I hope to cover next time. So I think I'm gonna, call it a night. Thank you so much for your time. These long ass videos, I just felt, from your comments to the ancestors' ears, and I'm very serious about that. The ancestors are real. My great grandmother came to me one night, and I never met her, and I knew it was her. And also, I had a dream where my entire family was around me, If that's not the ancestors, I don't know what is, because I've never had a dream where it felt like my entire dead and living. Let me tell you, it was dead people and living people. It was something. It was something. And I thought to myself, that is my ancestors letting me know that they're supporting me, they appreciate, and they're with me, you know, they're real. And if I can close on this, our battles are really already won and already fought. We just need to line ourselves up with our ancestors. This is why the Moors, they fight so much to influence us, because if we go with them, that's going to lead us off the land, because unfortunately the Moors would like us to take up that legacy, but they already gave it to the Arabs. Just the same thing with the Hebrew Israelites. The Moors already gave it to their progeny. So if we become their progeny, they're going to seek to dominate us when we are the firstborn. We don't want to come in under the Moors. I'm telling you right now, whether it means your skin color or whether it means you're Moroccan, whatever, you don't want it. You don't want it. You don't want anything that links you or has the potential, even the potential, to take you off your land. Indigenous, we don't have time to be playing with the bullshit. We have a whole constitution. We need to look at it and know who was party to that contract. We need to know who was party to that contract. Again, it spoke about Indians, and all it said is that we're not supposed to be taxed. Why? Because we have our own government. And even if we don't have it set up, the government can't touch us in our developing one. They have no say. They have no jurisdiction. So that is what you want to be if you want to live in this country, as long as it has that constitution. Now, if you're ready to go to war, like I said, okay, that's a whole nother ball of wax. That's going to be a lot of loss. We're going to take a big hit as indigenous, because they know damn well we don't have the firepower needed. Okay, that's why you can't be a Moor. That's why you can't be anything that's not mentioned in that constitution. With that constitution, you have a right to challenge the government, and you will be found to be the authority. If they convince you to be anything other than an Indian or a free person, those are the two sovereigns in the Constitution. United States citizens are not sovereign because they are beholden to whatever debt the corporation incurs. That's why you don't want to be a United States citizen. And Indians are not. We just got tricked. And all we got to do is tell this corporation, you committed an act of treason, really. It got to be in that family, let alone act of genocide against indigenous people, because we will, or we would be, and we are the indigenous of America. How many feel that? Do you feel that? Because I do. I do. Another thing, if this corporation designated you Black, colored, Negro, African-American, that's still giving you all you need to challenge, because none of those classifications have anything to do with the Constitution. And so what I'm saying is just being called that right there is your diving board to your being indigenous by being reclassified. Who else is called Black but us, the Indians? There's no Black Native Americans. Well, we wouldn't want to be them anyway, but I'm just saying they're not called Black. That's what I mean. They might look it, they're not called it. We're the only ones given the formal label that has been written in their statutes, which have nothing to do with the Constitution. That is commercial law. We should stand on constitutional guidelines. The ones that say we're not taxed. That's what we want. We don't need your civil rights. That civil rights are unconstitutional because it's not mentioned in the Constitution. Civil rights are not mentioned in the Constitution. I'm going to double check that, but last time I checked, it wasn't there. Seriously. So it's like a set of amendments were made, and those amendments allowed for there to be a new citizen, a new category of non-sovereign subjects that receive benefits and privileges. Why do we need that when we have a whole constitution that says I'm not even in your jurisdiction? I don't need your benefits and privileges because you're supposed to just give me my land and basically whatever you took from me in terms of money, So again, I get started and then I try to do many things and it becomes a long ass video and you don't want to watch a whole long ass video. And I feel like I should run with this video because if I don't, I'm going to wait. I don't know, exactly when I'm going to do my next video. So I almost feel like I should just post it for now and say, this is an interim kind of video. And to say thank you for all the support my last video got. I am sincerely overwhelmed and thankful. And I make no illusions that this is how it's going to be, but it was nice while it lasted. Hey, it's not a whole lot, but it's more than I've gotten in terms of viewers. And so I'm very grateful. And I also say thank you to new subscribers. Yes, there's been a couple of this week. I think, yeah. I'm not gonna call out people. Just thank you to the new subscribers. Okay, so thank you for watching. Thank you for as much as you shared in the comment section. I wish you peace, love, joy, wealth, health, blessings, not blessings, blessings. I don't want you to be less. I want you to I don't want you to be a more either. How about be highly favored? Okay, look at me. I really need to stop the share as I say goodnight. Okay, the little head on the side. Okay, but thank you again for watching. Appreciate all the support. Just a regular person making videos right now, trying to go from my gut and do what I can as an indigenous to help indigenous, the young upcoming indigenous. This is, I guess, especially for them, the ones who get it. And for anyone who has gotten anything out of it, I'm very appreciative. I try to be humble. I'm not saying I don't have the vanities of any man. When you're on video, you always want to look your best or look good. And the Lord knows I that's part of it. I've literally not put up videos because I just didn't like the way I have to admit it. It's the truth. And I had to do it all over because I just didn't like it. The way I looked or didn't like it. I didn't like, so yeah, I'm nothing special. I'm a regular old person, but I really try when I present myself. I really I want to put my best foot forward as much as possible, and try to put the vanity, you know, oh, I don't look the way I want to look, and I try not to get too much into that, you know. But you know, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter. But so let me shut up and say, again, be highly favored. Again, your land back, your identity back. Any agents of the corporation, please be made aware. If you read your constitution, Indians are not in your jurisdiction. We're a separate nation. We've been here before you were here, and so you don't get to tell us what to do. You've been doing it while we were black, and our bad. We should have figured it out. I mean, you treated us bad enough. We should have figured out something was wrong. But you know, we came at you asking for civil rights again. We got tricked, right? But this time we're coming to strong and trying to make something rhyme with strong. It's been long, but we're coming strong, and we're taking back our identity. We're taking back our first position in America as the first people of America. Yay, ancestors! Thank you, thank you, ancestors. We're not stingy, but by the same token, we don't want to be stolen from. We do. Anywhere else you go, people are going to be respected on their land, and they're gonna, you know, have land. Well, America is, I believe we were the first constitutional republic, you know, that was without a royalty. You know, they snuck in on us, guys. Okay. They kind of got that one off with the money system. But again, we indigenous, we just need to know what it means to be sovereign, because we already are, you know, just by being Indians, you know, and it took me a while to understand that. But you know, that is who we are. There's a wonderful lawsuit has been filed by Chief Beffy. So that is really historical and groundbreaking. And I think it's one of the first times that the corporation has been put on notice about we're back, you know. And it's wonderful, you know, and we are retaining our, I believe part of the statement was we're retaining our original rights. So we're sovereign, and it's just a wonderful thing for us. And we anybody out there who's not indigenous but who understand, you know, we welcome your support. You know, there are some Americans that really, even if they're misguided, they still have a heart when they see injustice. That's one thing about America that I think I appreciate in Americans. You know, we got our ways, but from what I've seen, even with Black Lives Matter, we've had all races, white, Asian, Latin, all supporting us, right? So the love is there. We just got to tell them who we really are. We're not black. And when we tell them we're indigenous, guess what? They're going to jump back on board again, right? Because that will help them understand why we are being disenfranchised. Okay? Okay, so again, this is a long goodbye, but it's just a good night, I think. Okay, so thank you again. Thank you. I appreciate you and honor you, and may the ancestors shine in your life and keep you and guide you to your proper status, your proper position, your birth. Take your birthright back. Genesis chapter 27:40, it says, when we have the dominion, what's the dominion? We have our proper status, legal status. Dominion is a legal status. And according to our Constitution, once again, we were called Indians. That's the only way we're going to be able to do battle with the corporation. That's my message today. I just want to close out saying it again, because it really has to stick. You know, we have to get this. We can't come at this corporation being a Moor. We can't come at this corporation being anything but what's mentioned in the Constitution. It's almost like a password. It's like, well, they have that myth where you standing before a dragon and you got to tell them the secret word or else they'll eat you alive, something to that effect. That's the corporation, and the password for us as indigenous is Indian. That's who they recognize us as. We might not like the word. We can do etymology breakdowns of what it means and where it came from. The bottom line is that's the word. That's the word. That's the entry to our sovereignty. Now, if we want to come outside of that, again, you're asking for war with a government that you are not ready to war with. We don't need to war with the corporation. We just have to come at them with the facts of the Constitution. I'll say this and then I'll try to shut up. The corporation had an opportunity just before 9/11 to do right by, at least by the foreigners. It wouldn't have been completely correcting our situation and misclassification, but it would have helped us in terms financially, because just before 9/11, those who read anything about Nasara and Jassara, they were supposed to make an announcement about canceling debt. Instead, they blew up some buildings. Paperwork was in building number 7. Bye-bye, Nasara Jassara. Now they never get to, the farmers of America sued the federal government. And they won. It was a lot of money, y'all. But the case was sealed. We got to do something about these sealed cases, y'all. As indigenous, I think we get to say something about how this kind of thing goes down. We don't want to be hidden away, because that's like, again, that gives you leeway to commit the genocide again. You know, if it's a little secret, then what's the point? So that's why we can't play with us. In other words, if they can get away with murder, they're going to get away with murder. We can't come at them with nothing but what's outlined in the contract. If y'all don't like being an Indian, well, you're the only way you're going to get really to, you're going to have to, in other words, that would mean a whole new kind of revolutionary war, you know, that no one is prepared for. Must remind you, and then coming to the table again and writing a whole new agreement. You know, the thing is, we don't have the firepower to do this, but again, we don't have to. We are already sovereign if we know the secret password, Indian. If someone knows something different, please share it. Again, this is what my studies have shown me. I'm just sharing what was put on my heart and what I know, because, we got groups of indigenous who are trying to come in the corporation and not have their sovereignty and pay taxes. Then you might as well stay a United States citizen. I don't know what FANA is doing, but it sounds like It sounds like you have no clue about your birthright. You don't know what it means to be a separate and not under the jurisdiction of the corporation. Okay, I don't, what I'm hearing, you know, the last video I saw from one of the founders, studying law, right? They already, that's a huge mistake because you're studying the law of commerce. Get a clue about common law if you're going to study law. But the way this thing is going, you just might as well stay a United States citizen, you know, and they're going, you know, you're just going to get benefits and privileges. And you're not going to have the true status that was intended in that constitution. That's why it says Indians not taxed. That's why we have to be careful, because they will try to maintain this thing. That is their plan, by the way, is to never give up the lie. So once we realize who we are, we have to do exactly what they're doing, and we have to teach those coming after us how to keep their sovereignty. This beast ain't playing. It's a corporation. This is what corporations do. They're in the business of making money. That's why you don't really want a corporation for a government. You know, you want dedicated people who are looking out for the welfare of the people, not the bottom line. So, see how I go? I keep talking and now I'm still talking. I'll say goodbye and I'm still here. I guess I'm just trying to say thank you for all the views. My God, thank you. I want to hope that I'm giving you something that I don't I don't know. So again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see if this actually makes it to YouTube or not. Until next time, be highly favored with all the good things, and that's when you know it's so long. Okay, thank you again. Peace.